Good evening and welcome to the NDTV Dialogues, a conversation of ideas. This week we are focusing on the Uniform Civil Code. Back in the news with outspoken writer Taslima Nasreen saying again why it's so crucial for women's rights. Of course, Chief Minister Nitish Kumar has also just reiterated that he has many questions of the Law Commission's plan to come up with the recommendations on how to implement the Uniform Civil Code. So it's back in focus, and with me this evening I'm joined by Taslima Nasreen, author who of course has been exiled from Bangladesh, living in India. I'm also joined by Rupa Ganguly, BJP MP. Also with me, Sandeep Dixit of the Congress, Farah Naqvi, well-known human rights activist, and also with me, Rakesh Sinha, ideologue of the RSS. Thank you all very much for joining me. Taslima ji, let me go across to you first, because you have, in a sense, set the cat among the pigeons once again with your remarks on the need for the Uniform Civil Code at the Jaipur Literature Fest. It's interesting also that the different voices speaking out for it, the RSS, VHP, etc., have all backed you. What do you feel about the reaction that comes out whenever you speak for the Uniform Civil Code?
You know, Uniform Civil Code is not RSS agenda. It's a human rights agenda. I have been fighting for Uniform Civil Code since 80s. When I lived in Bangladesh, you know, I have seen that Muslim community has, Muslim personal law, and also Hindus are having Hindu laws which are based on religion. And all religions are anti-women, so all religious laws are anti-women. So there should be one law for all based on equality between men and women. So it should be applicable in India too. So I think that all the people who believe in women's equal rights should fight for Uniform Civil Code based on equality and justice, not based on any religion. You know, in India, Hindus, Buddhists, Christians, Jains, all are living under Hindu personal law, which was, based on kind of equality, which was created in 1956. And then there was an amendment to that law. So women are getting equality under that law, but only Muslim women are not getting equality. There is no equality in case of marriage, divorce, child custody, and inheritance. Islam should not be exempted from the critical scrutiny that applies to other religions. And also, Islam has to go through the enlightened process other religions have gone through by questioning inhuman, unequal, unscientific and irrational aspects of religion.
Did you feel let down when, because of your thoughts, you are now seen as a security threat? You had to appear in such secrecy at the Jaipur Literature Fest, and then extremists protested outside saying that you shouldn't be allowed back again.
You know, only 10 or 12 people came to protest against my presence in Jaipur Lit Fest. They were actually doing that because they were successful in doing this kind of protest against Salman Rushdie in 2012. If Salman Rushdie came, if Jaipur Lit Fest organizers made Salman Rushdie come to that Lit Fest, despite all the protests, I think that protesters, those fanatics, would not have that much strength to do it again in 2017, because they did it because Jaipur Lit Fest made them, win. So I think that if they were ignored, they would not have done that again. So, but the problem is that Jaipur Lit Fest organizers were very strong, but they didn't need to bow in front of, those misogynist fanatics. I think that those misogynist fanatics' demand should not be taken seriously, because we know very well that in this country, or not only in this country, everywhere in the world, women must have equality. If some people, some misogynists, ask for inequalities, if they ask for 7th centuries laws in these 21st centuries, why should we, accept their demands, So Jaipur Lit Fest organizers, I heard and also I read in the news that they told those misogynist fanatics that they will not invite me again. So it is kind of, giving them victory.
No, the Jaipur Lit Fest organizers have denied that.
Yeah, then it is fine. I expect that Jaipur Lit Fest organizers believe in freedom of expression.
But Taslima ji, you say that those who are anti the Uniform Civil Code are misogynists, anti-women. But why do you think chief ministers then, like Mamata Banerjee, like Nitish Kumar, have said that they don't entirely trust the motives of the BJP government in bringing in the Uniform Civil Code? Would you call them misogynist as well?
I think that people who do not want Uniform Civil Code, based on equality, they know very well that Muslim women do not have equality. So I think that the people who do not want Uniform Civil Code in this country are actually anti-Muslims. Because if you are pro-Muslims, you will, want that Muslim women live under modern secular laws based on equality. Yeah, we know all. I think we all know that some politicians do not want Uniform Civil Code. They want the Muslim personal law should be based on, misogynistic scriptures. They do not want any progress, any enlightenment in Muslim community. So they want Muslim to live in darkness. I think that they want to appease those Muslim fanatics.
So do you think this is about vote bank politics? Do you trust the BJP government when they say that they want to bring this Uniform Civil Code? Do you trust their motives?
It is not about Modi government, it is not about BJP or RSS, it is human rights issues, it's a feminist issues, it's women issues. I don't know why, if RSS or BJP or Modi government want it, doesn't mean that it is their, they will gain it. Anything from it. Actually, Muslim women and Muslim community will gain from this Uniform Civil Code because it is one law for all. It is about equality. In this modern era, we need really equality between men and women. There is no equality in case of marriage, divorce, child custody and inheritance. Why should Muslim women be deprived of their human rights?
You tweeted FO to the Muslim Law Board. You weren't frightened or you weren't afraid about saying something like that to them?
So what? It's my freedom of expression. Muslim Personal Law Board, those people set price on a writer's head. And I don't think that many people actually protested against them because it is illegal. Fatwa is illegal in India. Fatwa is illegal in Bangladesh also. But those people issued fatwas against me, and I was the victim, and I was punished. I was thrown out of Bangladesh, and as if it is my crime that Muslim fanatics are against me and they attacked me and they issue fatwas against me and they set price on my hair, as if that it is my crime. So for my crime, I was punished. But those people who, issue fatwas against writers and other people were never get punished.
Do you ever worry or feel that people will use your words, your thoughts for political advantage?
So I have to shut my mouth. No, I don't want to do that. Some people will try to use my words or use me. In 2007 and 8, when I was thrown out of West Bengal by West Bengal government, they tried to use me for their political interest. They thought that if they threw me out of the state or the country, they will get Muslim votes. Not only that right-wing politicians sometimes use me, and also the left-wing politicians also try to use me. But I know very well, and the people who read my books know very well, that I am against all kinds of fundamentalism, and also I am all kinds of bigotry, obscurantism, misogyny, and I am against all religions. But I am not against people. I defend Hindus when they are oppressed in Bangladesh. I defend Muslims when they are oppressed in Gujarat or Palestine or Bosnia. I defend Christians when they are oppressed in Pakistan. And I defend Jewish, even though I was not in this during Second World War, but when they were oppressed by Nazi. So I am for human being, whatever their religion, whatever their beliefs, because I think that you can give education to humans, and then they can start believing in human rights and women's rights and freedom of expression.
Sandeep, Taslima ji also makes the point. She says this has nothing to do with the Modi government or the RSS or the VHP. This is about those who are for women, for human rights, for progressive rights in the 21st century. Why is it that so many opposition parties are raising questions about this, dilly-dallying about it? Hasn't the time come for a uniform civil code?
I can't say whether the time has come or not. There is, of course, uniform civil code is there, and there is, in some instances, I think uniform civil code is something which is already applicable in many forms or the other. There are only one or two areas where, I think there are questions being raised, and it's primarily related to some of the issues with regard to women's rights on divorce and on a few aspects. And the problem actually that comes in is, when sometimes these demands take a political color, and I think that's the unfortunate part. I think if we leave it to courts, if we leave it to the Law Commission, if we leave it to others, I think over time progress has happened. I'm not a legal expert, maybe somebody else will tell us, but I think the Shamima Ara judgment of 2002, for example, very clearly has laid out provisions as to how the Muslim women and men can go for a divorce, which is taking into cognizance what the Holy Quran also says, as well as other forms which by and large give rights to all.
Well, is it about, are you suggesting perhaps then tinkering with it as a law per law? Let me get in Rupa ji. The Uniform Civil Code as envisaged in Article 44 of the Constitution, but no government has actually had perhaps the guts, the leadership ability to go through with it because of the fear of a possible backlash. Do you think the time has now come? Do you think the Modi government will be able to do this, given the fact that there's been so much opposition from leaders like Mamata Banerjee of your state, from even people like Nitish Kumar, etc., who've all been asking questions about this code at this point?
I always felt that there should be one law in the country. Just as a common person, I asked my national leader, the first few interactions I had when I had joined politics in 2015, 7th January 2015, I asked my political leader, why can't we have uniform civil code? He looked at me. He said,
what a question on your first day.
Difficult, huh? So, ये common man का सवाल है. It is actually, there are certain things in society which should not be played around by political parties.
So then should you say that perhaps, do you agree that the court should order this and not a government, that it shouldn't be about
See, what happens, BJP in last few activities, they've always tried to raise Modi Sarkar. I belong to the same party, so I might sound that I'm, a follower talking, But what I've noticed that they always give a provision. They always arrange for a dialogue. Let people discuss about it, talk about it, other than just making a rule and reciting on the Rajya Sabha, Lok Sabha.
Well, let me get in Farhan Naqvi, because of course interesting, I suppose the whole focus on this also came around the whole triple talaq issue, and it's interesting that there the need for reform has been led by Muslim women and by Muslim women's organizations. Do you feel that we actually cloud the whole debate over the Uniform Civil Code by looking at it as a fact that is this seen as anti-Muslim or pro-Muslim, and just as a woman, a women's rights activist, it is something that should be welcome if it looks at equality for women across religions?
But that is the questionable thing. You see, there are several things wrong with this debate, Sonia, including with the debate we're about to have over here, including, with great respect, to many of the comments that Taslima Nasreen ji just now made. The assumption is that the Uniform Civil Code somehow will lead to greater gender equality. I am questioning, is uniformity in and of itself a hallowed virtue? Do we question the need for uniformity, particularly in a country like India? I have three things to say about the Uniform Civil Code. Politically, it's an absolute red herring. If greater gender equality, there are 1,000 different things we can be doing. We're not even spending the Nirbhaya fund. So it's politically a red herring. Practically, it is the most unworkable option that we have. Intellectually, as a feminist, I see no evidence that a uniform civil code ergo means perfect gender equality. What we are talking about is a diversity in India. And by the way, the assumption of all of this, notice this entire dialogue is of course focused on Muslim personal law. The dialogue should equally include tribal laws. It should include the Parsi law, it should include the Christian law, and let us not forget that the reform of the Hindu Code Bill in the 50s is, some would say, a little bit of a legal fiction, that there is uniformity. Because all that the Hindu Marriage Act says is you can have marriages under your own customary practices. Between the north and the south, who is a sapinda? In other words, the prohibited degrees of relationship is different in the south. It's not even recognized. Saptapati, the 7 times you walk around the fire, is not recognized in large parts of. So there is great diversity, great diversity. Polygamy, which is held up as the one big thing, ki bhai Muslim personal law mein polygamy is permitted. Fact, greater practice of polygamy among tribal societies, among Hindus, among Jains. Should we therefore not prohibit? I am saying simply, the focus on Muslim personal law to the exclusion of all others is not correct. It is intellectually a weak position that we begin with. One final point I want to make, Sonia, because this assumption that a uniform civil code, we have no idea on what jurisprudence it could be based. We are just assuming this mythical creature. And I will take objection to the Law Commission's questionnaire later on in the show. I simply want to ask another very fun. You mentioned Article 44, Directive Principles of State Policy. Please remember that at the time of independence, Pandit Nehru, in his wisdom, said, we will put it here because the country is fresh from the fractures of partition. Once we have achieved greater social harmony, greater cohesion, those fractures have been healed, perhaps then we shall think. That was the mood of the nation. Today I ask all of us, have those fractures, are we looking at a country of greater social harmony, greater cohesion, that would make this even a workable discussion?
Those seven decades down have many of those fractures now. I want to bring in Rakesh Sinha ji. Also, of course, his foundation has been preparing a policy paper on the Uniform Civil Code to look at these facts. And the point you made about Parsis, etc., but the fact is that after the Hindus, the Muslims will form a sizable chunk. So even though you may say the Hindu code was not perfect, a beginning was done. Do we need to do the same with the Muslim community? And is that why the focus around it? Rakesh Sinha ji, go ahead.
I think anyone who reads the Hindu Code Bill, the debate during the formulation of the Hindu Code Bill in the Parliament, just say, I am quoting Acharya J.B. Kripalani. He accused Nehru government that it is not Hindu Mahasabha people who are communal, but it is also the Nehru government communal, because you are formulating a law for a particular community and exempting other community, excluding other community. For her, a certain pertinent question that should be answered. One thing is that it is not a complex question. It is simple. It is law should treat men and women equally. This is the demand of the modernity. We are not living the medieval society. And the rest of the outside India, you just see all the liberal democracy of the West, whom we call liberal democracy. They have the uniform civil code. Out of 110 countries where a sizable number of Muslims live, in some of the countries they are in majority, some in the country they are in the large number, 90 countries have amended the personal laws. 22 Muslim countries have amended. After partition and after independence, instead of secularization, it is a process of reverse secularization, reverse secularism. Last point,
yes.
It is not the one thing about the Uniform Civil Code. People accuse the Hindutva. In 1972, 24th August 1972, M.S. Golwalkar, who was second RSS chief, he has given an interview to K.R. Malkani in Motherland. Very few people know that. In that interview, he said, the demand for Uniform Civil Code should come from the Muslims themselves. But it was 1973. Until 2017, the demand is coming from the larger number of Muslim women. They want equality, and this should be asserted. Whether it is a Manmohan Singh government or Modi government, secularism is our constitutional obligation. It should be applied.
I want to ask Rakesh Sinha ji, and I think perhaps this is where some would question the whole sudden drive for it, that when the RSS talks about women's rights, many people will raise questions. The fact that the RSS is not women-friendly in that sense, the fact that we've heard the RSS chief talk about issues like, whether other RSS leaders about whether the Hindu birth rate must keep up with the Muslim birth rate, there is suspicion when this comes from a group like the RSS. Do you agree to that?
Let me speak. There is a Rashtra Sevika Samiti. This is just a parallel to RSS. Every organization has its own culture. And without women's help, RSS cannot be run. My wife is helping, my wife is a part of the RSS system. My mother is a part of the RSS system. Mohan Bhagwat ji is a full-time worker, means pracharak. Without the permission of mother, he can't be.